Because there are some people, there are some bandey. Excuse my language, please. Some people's spirits that if you sit down before you enter the exam hall, you can't just faint. You just notice that when they're around you before the exam, the pressure, tension in the air is rising. Try and avoid them. God, I've not covered anything. Though. See by me. Hi guys, my name is Chidera, and in today's video I'm going to be giving tips on how to overcome exam anxiety in medical school. If you're interested in watching this, if this is why you're here, then you need to keep watching. So it is completely natural, it is completely normal for everybody on this earth to feel anxious or nervous before any exam, any test, any assessment or whatsoever. Although I actually envy people who can just sit there like, it's just an exam. I mean, someone once told me that what's the worst that can possibly happen, and I'm like, the worst that can possibly happen is that you fail. And okay, if you fail, what happens? Okay, I guess that it's not the end of the world, but a number of people like us feel nervous, anxious before every exam, before every test, before anything, and that's normal. But where there's a problem is when it now begins to affect your performance in that test or in that exam. And personally, I have suffered from exam anxiety. You need to see me for every exam because you don't want to be around me during an exam. I murmur, I chant, I walk around, I pace, I shake, I say things, I pray. It's just a whole jumble of me shaking and me being totally restless. Like, I would make you uneasy if you have an exam with me. That is how anxious I get for an exam. And so over time, I have tried to look for tips, certain tips that I feel have helped me overcome my exam anxiety to an extent. So at least before I go into the exam hall, I'm a bit calmer than I used to be. The very first step is for you to be prepared. Preparing for the exam is not negotiable. It's not a step you can skip. When you're prepared, it helps reduce your anxiety by at least 50%. You don't go to an exam hall with an empty head. If you prepare for an exam, at least you know that no matter how they want to answer the question, no matter where the question is going to come out from, no matter even if the lecturer is a wizard and wants to bring out the question from inside their coven, you'll be able to answer. Because when you're anxious, sometimes you need to tell yourself certain things and you need to tell yourself facts. Fact number one, I have read for this exam and I'm prepared for it. So I'm going to go into the exam hall now and write what I know. And there's no how I'll get to the exam hall and I will not see a question I can't answer. That's number one, confidence. Because there will always be somebody that will go to the exam hall and not be able to answer anything, but you are not going to be one of them. So at least that gives you some small hope. I'm sorry, but I had to use that example. You need to help yourself. Secondly, you need to plan and organize yourself. Very important. From the time the timetable comes out, write a list of the topics you need to read. Write a list of the things, everything you need to cover. Then strike out whatever it is you cover, one by one. All these things help to mentally organize your reading. So you think that striking it out or ticking it out or using a red pen, I like to use different colors of pens to do these things. So I tick with a blue pen when I read it for the first time. When I read for the second time, I tick with a red pen. These things actually help your brain. It helps to tell you that, okay, you have covered this one. Okay, I am actually on top of it. Okay, I am making progress. Okay, I'm not in one place. I am moving. Like, I'm not stagnant. I am actually moving forward. So when you go through your book and you see, okay, you've crossed out 3 or 4 things, wow, that's an improvement. I mean, yesterday I hadn't crossed out anything, but today I have. So I should be less anxious, even if I may not be able to cover everything. Once you have covered, you know you have covered them. You're certain that you have covered them. Because the thing about being anxious for an exam is sometimes it makes you very disorderly. You can't plan yourself. You don't even know what you want to do. You are just scared, tired, disorganized, wondering what to do, and then you won't be able to make any progress. So it's very important that you take a list, write a list of the things you need to do, and begin to cross them out one by one when they have been done. So you can also tell yourself facts too, which is what? I can do this, I am on top of this, and I am moving forward. I'm making some progress. Come on, give yourself some accolades. Beware, but be aware. This is my punchline. What do I mean by video? Because there are some people, there are some bandey. Excuse my language. There are some people's spirits that if you sit down before you enter the exam hall, you can't just faint. Literally, there are people that you just notice that when they're around you before the exam, the pressure, the tension in the air is rising. What is happening? Some people are there to just make you tense. Literally, I have started crying before an exam because somebody walked into a room. I literally was looking at the guy and I was just like, I'm not covering anything. You know, see my mate. I'm sure this guy has read all the slides. I'm sure he has read all the whole 100 slides. Me, I've really read 2. God, see my mate. And I started crying. Just because this guy entered. He didn't talk to me. He was talking to other people. And I was just there. Just there. Tensed. All these type of people, try and avoid them. If you can go and hide yourself in a corner and read, hide yourself. But remember I said beware, but be aware. So even if you are beware, that one did not go. Even if you choose to be aware, you need to be aware of what's happening. Not that you're ignoring excessive comments, excessive distractions, and all of that. Does not mean you should be ignorant of the fact that certain things are going down. You need to put your ear on the ground, because the times around exam periods are usually very perilous times. A lot of things you pick up from people, some information you can get. People with reviewing of questions and all of that, you don't totally shun it off because you don't want to be intimidated. You want to read alone. I know you want to read alone, but like what I do now, for instance, is I go and read and make sure I've read sufficiently to the amount that I know that okay, I'll be confident to come out before I join group discussions. And then I know that okay, I've read 6 out of the 10 topics they're talking about here. I know I've read 6. These 4 they're talking about, I don't know it. Not because I'm a dullard or because I'm a dunce or because I don't have anything in my head. It's because I haven't just simply covered it. I have not revised it. And so when they're talking about it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to revise this, but let me just take note of this point till I revise. When I revise, it sticks. So you don't get overwhelmed and say, I'm not ready to read only 2 topics, not go for group discussion. Everybody's not talking, giving you left, right, center. You are just there. Swelling. What will I do? No, dear. You need to be very strategic in what you do. So if you know it's going to affect you or affect your performance, then skip that particular group discussion. Prepare well. Come back again when you are more confident and more able to relate with your peers. It helps to just prevent unnecessary anxiety. Practice is important. Very good if you're able to simulate the exam setting. Ask yourself questions. I know a lot of times in medical school, there may not be that enough time for you to actually do that, to be asking yourself questions all the time, but you can try just to try and simulate the exam setting so that your brain starts getting familiar with it. You can go to the exam hall. Maybe we're going to write the exam a week before if you have access. You sit down there, simulate the exam setting, and just try and write it. See that your brain starts getting used to it, starts getting acclimatized to the fact that okay, oh, this is just an exam. It's not the end of the world. You know, this place I've been going to every day. I read here every week, every day of the week, and I ask myself questions and I answer them unsupervised. Time yourself. Make sure you're not cheating. You know you cannot talk to anybody. You cannot answer, and then answer those questions and see that okay, an exam is not a do or die affair. So you're teaching your brain a lesson. You're telling your brain this is how it's going to be. You're taking control of that situation. It helps. It helps to reduce anxiety. What is your fear? What do you think is your fear? What's the problem? What's making you scared? Write it down. Are you scared of failing? Because it's not only fear. Like me, I'm also scared I can be very, very clumsy. And I'm going to miss number now in steeplechase. I was supposed to do a exam. I did not even sanitize my hand before I started the examination. My examiner was just looking at me like this. I did the examination, everything, you know, abdomen, you understand, clinical, general examination. I did it. But before I did the examination, I did not sanitize my hand. How do you go and do an examination on a patient without sanitizing your hand? For Christ's sake. The examiner just kept looking at me. So that's how clumsy you can be sometimes. Sometimes it's because you don't want to forget. It's not even because you don't know it. You don't just want to go there and go and forget. It happens. So like you need to write down what are these fears and how can you prevent them. Then look for active solutions before the exam time. So if it's that you need to remind yourself, if it's that maybe you need to touch your left finger to remind yourself that you must sanitize before you start. You must greet the examiner. Things you know that okay, you may forget, you can be too clumsy, you may miss number, maybe you need to be extra careful. So you tell yourself before you get to the exam hall what are the steps you can take so ensure that you don't make the same mistakes again that probably you've made before or that you are scared of making. Facing your fears squarely, facing exactly what you're scared of would help to ease your anxiety. Take care of yourself, rest well. 6 hours of sleep for an exam is ideal, although I don't do 6 hours all the time. But I try to sleep before every exam. I'm not a fan of all-nighters. I will not advise anybody that I love to do an all-nighter because that has made me forget the exam hall before. You need rest so that you can remember what you have read. But some people are champions at doing la cram la po. Me, I don't know. Everybody has what works for them, but your brain needs rest and your brain needs food. So eat well, sleep well while preparing for your exam. Pray. Like for me, I can't go to an exam hall without praying. It's not a ritual. It's just something that just keeps me calm. It's just something that gives me, like, the fact that I know that there's a supernatural being, there's a greater force that's guiding my steps. It's beyond me. It's beyond what I can do. It's beyond what my abilities are. I mean, I have someone that's helping me, that's at my side. helping me. I have angels around me guiding me through the exam. I mean, that actually is very therapeutic for me. It's very soothing. It helps me calm down. It helps me relax. And you already know that if you're a Christian, when you're praying, you can't pray without faith. So if you don't believe in what you're praying for, then why are you praying at all? And so if I believe that, okay, I'm going to pass this exam, then rest assured, pray about it. And it actually helps to reduce my anxiety to a very significant level. Medical school exams can be very funny and very funky. Especially because it's not just about the theory and the ABG. It's about also you have practical. I hate practical exam. I don't even want to, in fact. I think I'm going to do a video. I think I will do a video on the things I hate about medical school. The things that are so important that you have to have at your fingertips. Practical exam. As a science student, you know that practicals even carry more weight than the theory exam yourself, because you're not going to be a theory doctor or a theory nurse. It's the practical that you're going to go and do. So please, you can imagine how it is, because the whole tension and everything going to do an exam in your anatomy, 200 level students, you're going to have steeplechase. They'll say move, you must move. It's timed and everything, so you're anxious. Sometimes it may be that you have never, some of the exams you write in medical school, you have never written that type of exam in your life before, and that's the first time you're ever going to write. For instance, like in 200 level, that's the first time you're going to write steeplechase, and you are going to be anxious about it because you have never written it before. So in a case like that, you may have to ask people how the exam was. How was it like? Was it really so bad? How did you do it? How do you understand? Sometimes people can help to ease you. I don't gonna meet people that used to fear and shout and make things worse and exaggerate. You need people that have got it, that have mastered how to do it. You need to actually filter who you take advice from. That's another important thing. You need to filter. You don't have taken advice from people that make your matter worse. So like people sometimes will help you, tell you how the exam was. So you know that okay, I can do it to this person did and it wasn't so bad. Like the way that steeplechase seemed before I wrote it, hey, it seemed like the beginning and end of the whole exam in medical school. But people who have done steeplechase in 200 level, have done it in 300 level. So like, and then you enter clinicals. When you enter clinicals, you have to click under 5 minutes. Exam tension, you have to do things that you do normally. You have to do them timed and under supervision and all of that. And sometimes can be so overwhelming. And then you can be so anxious before the exam. Medical school exam especially can make you extremely anxious because you know that there's a lot to lose. You know that okay, you do not want to miss your slot in medical school, you don't want to leave, you want to move forward, you don't want to take a receipt, you don't want to repeat the year. So there's a lot at stake, and so because of that, the anxiety even increases. But you need to take a hold of that anxiety. You need to put it on a leash. You need to put it, because people have done it before, dear, and you can do it. You know, that's what I always say. I've done it. You can do it. With all this being said, thank you guys for watching my video. Hope you liked it, hope you enjoyed it, hope you learned a thing or two. Please don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell beside the subscribe button so you can get updates each time I post. Till next time, guys. Bye.